We are fortunate to live in a time now that we know what the Matrix is. We know all about it. We know it is awesome. We have lived with it for a while now. Almost 15 years we have lived with the Matrix.
We took the red pill.
We took the red pill.
We went down the rabbit hole.
We've seen how deep the rabbit hole goes, and we have seen how bad sequels can go sometimes. But we're not talking about sequels today.
Thank goodness.
We're talking about the original Matrix. This is the story of Thomas Anderson, who is a lowly computer programmer who gets pulled into a world where there's a bunch of, you know what the Matrix is. I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna do it. Here's what I'm gonna say. The Matrix is on the shortest of short lists of my favorite films. It is certainly in my top 10, if not maybe my top 5. I love it. I don't think there has been a more successful movie mythology ever.
It's very much a genre film, and yet it has this transcendent depth. It has this philosophy, this almost existential question of what does it mean to be alive? Are we really awake? It's an allegory for the machine of our lives. And when I saw this movie, I actually went to see this movie in theaters 3 times. And I remember it changing my life.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real?
There's just so much to love, but I think the overarching thing to love is that it really goes deep. It asks really, really important questions, and is so much fun at the same time. And it managed to walk that line. It innovated in every way I think a film can innovate. The look and feel, the characters, what they were fighting for. Good versus evil takes on a whole new color in this film. This disc is also one of the most exemplary discs in terms of the extras. There is a full-feature documentary, The Matrix Revisited, that goes into such depth on the making of all 3 films, and it's just incredible to see visual effects at that time. And this movie could have looked really bad now, and it doesn't. It holds up.
It walks the line where you're like, does this hold up? But ultimately, you're like,
the dangly little bug thing that goes into his belly button, that was a little bit, that didn't look great.
But who cares? The great thing about The Matrix is not only is there obviously the deeper thought element of it, the mind-blowing element. When Morpheus asks him, when does the dream stop and reality in real life begin? Oh, I know, it's one of those moments in movie history that I remember. I similarly saw it a few times in the theater, and every time I remember just being like, I don't know. How do you know? A rare level of mind-blowingness, but also it's just a perfectly entertaining film.
It really is.
The structure of it is flawless. It's the type of big movie making that you can rarely pull off at this perfect level.
I think The Matrix Revisited is just worth it alone. It's such a great documentary as a standalone. This is definitely, if you don't own this, you gotta run out and buy it. Obviously, I'm sure most of you do.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So Ben, what do you give The Matrix on Blu-ray?
10, yeah.
Yeah, this is a pretty perfect Blu-ray. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.